Hey there, hey, it is Michelle with Brilliant Quest, and today I want to talk to you about inflation, mental inflation. Mhm. I want to talk to you about the fact that it is taking more and more mental energy, power, machinations, thinking to get less done. And I know that you're feeling it, and I know that is hard, but I just need you to know that there are ways for you to get your potency back and to stop spinning in circles. All right, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this today, and I'm going to be putting out some materials that will help. Now, it all started when I was working on my next digital product. Now, I've told you guys, if you've been rocking with me, and if you're new, thank you. But I've told you that it took me 7 years to go through menopause. And during that time, the way my hormones are set up, my brain was fighting me at every stance. And prior to that, I had successfully done many digital products, coaching programs, online live trainings, and whatnot. And the further I got into this 7 years of hell, or the Odyssey, as I like to call it, the less and less I was able to produce and to do digital products. And now that my mind is back online, I'm currently working on them. And I noticed that, yeah, there's a little residual holdover from that time, but that I'm able to work through it. And so I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about mental inflation or shrinkage, if you want, because it's real out here. And I need you to understand that you're not alone and that there's nothing wrong with you. It's simply that things have gotten out of hand and it's time for you to regain and take your mental agility and power back. So, if you will, I'll tell you a little bit about the digital product thing. So now, excuse me, in today's world, we have more and more ways of automating, systematizing, and simplifying stuff. That's the ASS model. I'm not going to say the word, but automate, systematize, and simplify. But the thing that people don't realize is that when you have a glut of choices, it causes the mind to get confused. And a confused mind does not move. It does not make decisions or choices. It does not advance. It shuts down and gets into either a loop or a rut. And so a lot of the mental inflation that we're seeing is because we have more and more stuff to choose from, make decisions on, or even learn. The average person doesn't realize that even when you download an app to your phone, there's a learning curve. And with how many touch points we have each and every day, those compounding effects are kind of like clogging the system. You know, there comes a time, even with your phone or your computer, where you got to delete some temporary files or some bloated bloatware on your system, or it will run slower and slower. And it's no different from the mind. And the mind can only partition off so much to keep you running until you get to the point where you're like, why did it take me 5 hours to do my grocery list? For real. And so let's get into how you can help to shrink the inflation going on with your thoughts so that you can get your potency back and think better. All right. So I talked to you and I told you that working on digital products. Now, if you're interested in working on digital products, great. But I will tell you that you will quickly find out if you have mental inflation, if your mind is inflated to the point where it just can't work. And the reason why is because with digital products today, people say it's simple, and in practical terms, yes, but in applicable terms, no. The amount of decisions you have to make for each and everything is amazing. I was reduced to tears by Canva. Canva, the blessed Canva that has helped so many people become prolific in their creativity. But when you're trying to do your digital products and you have all this stuff that you try to put down, and you decide to look at one, and then you're trying to look at, okay, where's the sales? Okay, what I say is not right. Okay, why you change one? And you spend hours just trying to put into Canva. So I'm just trying to and then yourself all those things there. I don't do it. Thus, you want to come back. I want to come back to Canva less and less. Now, I've been getting the victory over Canva this year, or for the last year, going into this year too. So, I mean, Canva and me, we're not struggling as much, but it's hard to pay for something when it makes you want to just go and get some ice cream and sit in the middle of the bed. I mean, come on now, Canva. But anyway, it gets easier and easier, but it's gotten easier because of some of the stuff that I'm getting ready to mention now. So thank you for letting me tell you about my weird little interaction with Canva and the mind inflation that I've been working on. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is that, excuse me, you want to make sure that when you're dealing with things that you would normally deal with, you want to notice those things that cause you to want to stop. You have an aversion to them. And it could be simple stuff. I'm not just talking about the hard stuff. So it's usually going to be things that you've done routinely that you could do in your sleep. And that is going to be an indicator that your mind is getting too cluttered. It is getting overwhelmed. There are too many inputs. And the reason why I say that is because the mind will help hurt you. It will help you by trying to partition out things that it does not deem are essential for you surviving at the moment. So it'll make it be difficult for you to decide what clothes you're going to put on today, or for combing your hair that day. Now, combing your hair might not be one for you, but for me it is, because she don't play nice, and you better come ready when you're trying to deal with her. But anyway, it will let you know. It's kind of a tip off that it's time for me to clean my cache. It's time for me to clean my memory out because I got too much stuff. And I will forever talk about journaling, but I'm also going to talk about mind purging pages too. And mind purging pages don't belong in a journal. They are pages that you can tear out of a notebook, or they're scrap paper, but there's something that you can tear up and that will burn quickly. And the reason why I'm saying this is you want to take and dump all the stuff out of your mind that's not ideas for something, that's not insights, but it's just all the drivel, all the dregs, all the stuff that is just looping and invasive. Get them out. I don't care if it's a lyric or a hymn to us all. He's looking at you, Beyonce, with that Texas Hold'em, whatever it may be. You get it out. And then once you've gotten it out, and I'm talking about, you don't have to write within the lines. You can write as big as you want. You can be like, get out of my mind, whatever you want. You can't mess it up. Exclamation points, whatever. Once you do that, get it out your mind, tear the paper up, and then put it in some kind of safe little bowl, like a metal bowl or something, and then burn it. And I'm talking about burn all of it to ashes. And then when you throw it away after it's completely cool, or you doused it with a little spray of water to make sure it's out, you thank it for the lessons and the insights that it will give you. But it can't ever come back. You can't come back here no more. Get out. You evicted. Okay. So that's one of the things that I want you to do. The next thing is, excuse me, is you want to not get to the point. You want to exercise reframing. So once you've, done that to clear out some of the cogs in the system, you want to start reframing. And the way you're going to reframe is you're going to borrow something from someone I look up to. It's Milton Erickson. He is one of the fathers of hypnosis. And what he was really good at is he was good at not tricking, but getting you to use reverse psychology or to reverse the resistance of something. And so we have these things called ask-formations. And Erickson was a pioneer of ask-formations. And he would get his clients, when they had a struggle that they were continuously resisting, whether they wanted to or not, they just could not break that defense mechanism that kept them from moving forward. He would get them to ask a question in a way of it encapsulating what they wanted it to be. So here's an example. You are finding it harder and harder to do your work at your job that you get paid for, especially in the afternoons, in between lunch and going home. You are just not here for it. You're falling asleep. You're trying everything you can. People are talking. You're not getting your work done. You will probably have to be there later because it's due tomorrow. Just crazy stuff happening, right? What you want to do is you want to borrow from Erickson. And this is part of that shrinkflation of the mental inflation you got going on. And you want to say something like, I wonder what it would feel like to be able to get this project done in the next 90 minutes and it'd be perfect. Okay. Continuously ask yourself that. And if you want to make it even more powerful, you can do something I call daydream jumping. And what that is, it's, hold on, I'm sorry, you guys, I said daydream jumping. Daydream jump offs, sorry, daydream jump offs. And what you want to do is, if you catch yourself daydreaming, that's especially when you want to use that, because your mind is open and susceptible to suggestion. And because it's moved into a different frequency, at wakefulness, you're in beta. And that's where your brain is really moving. That's like the highest one that you're moving at. But it's right below that one at alpha. And alpha is where you can function, but you're open to another plane of consciousness where you learn faster, you can retain. There's so many different things you can do in alpha. And when you ask yourself, I wonder what it would feel like to get this done. And you can choose a goal, choose a time, choose a condition. I wonder what it would feel like to get this report done. And so, and better than any report I've ever done in the next 90 minutes. And then come up out of it and do the work. Say it again. I wonder what it would feel like. And then once you start doing the activity, start feeling it. Now, and Erickson didn't, I don't believe in forcing a feeling, but grasp onto it and invite it to come. And, good feelings love to be invited in. Happiness, joy, peace, love, serenity, the sense of accomplishment. Those are some of the feelings that you can bring in. And you might be saying, well, Michelle, I don't know. Yes, this works. This works because you will get to the point where you'll get to the point where you can't even go to the grocery store and not have to walk out with overwhelm if you don't stop it. And so these are just, some of the things that you can do to help yourself to make your thinking more potent. Because back to Erickson, when you use these affirmations and you do that, you're what we would call future casting, to put yourself in the future of something having been accomplished. And then you're going back and you're doing it. You're walking through what you have projected. And it's a little different from visualization, because with visualization, you projected, but then by repetition, the projection kind of happens subconsciously to get you moving there. Whereas this one is really close to what you're projecting. So you project it and then you start working it intentionally. So it's like, that's why it's future casting instead of just visualization. So you future cast what you want, then you start doing the steps to get it on purpose, okay, within your power, okay? So that's one of the things. And then the other thing I do want to say is that when you have mind inflation, mental inflation, where your thoughts are not as impotent, one of the biggest things, the big tippy top things you can do is take action, any kind of action. It can just be a movement to get up from where you're sitting, to get out of that space and that vibration. But take some kind of action. And when you take an action, whether it be movement or something to move you forward, do not try to do too much. It's kind of like if you've been laying in bed sick for a month, you don't immediately jump up and go for a 5-mile run. It's the same thing with your mind. Your mind is what they call plastic, meaning it's malleable. But when your mind is in a point where it's bogged down, it's cluttered, overwhelmed, it becomes less and less elastic and more brittle. So you could inadvertently cause a mental fracture, meaning you cause a disconnect and a disrepair to your thought processes by trying to take on too much. That's why when I'm writing and those types of things, I work my way back into my long ones, because I don't want to have my mind say, we never write again. This is too painful. So, like if I have a lag in my writing, I work my way back into it. I write a little bit until I work back into it, because you gotta stretch it and you gotta tease it back into shape, because your mind acts like a muscle and you don't want it to shut down on you. And if you don't use it, you will lose it. It will atrophy and shrivel up. So you got to find that sweet spot to keep it malleable, to keep yourself doing an action, but do the right action. Take your time and work it by being consistent, by being intentional with your impact of what kind of action you're going to take. Okay. And so the last thing I want to say about when you're dealing with mental inflation is you want to look at the quality of what you're requiring of your mind. People don't realize that memory is memory. So think about your phone. And what happens when your phone gets its memory full and it says you got to get rid of some of this stuff if you want to go another further? What's the first thing you do? You go and look for the memory hogs and the stuff that you don't care about as much. It is amazing to me how, and I have seen this with relatives, where when they have to clean out their phones, they'll clean out documents from work before they take care of the pictures, because that's my babies. I need my pictures of my kids. But you got 5,000 of them on the phone. They can live in your cloud, that kind of thing. I'm sorry, I'm making fun of y'all. Please forgive me. But you need to get rid of them pictures. They're 10 years old. But memory, you want to look at the quality of what you are ruminating and meditating on. Don't borrow other people's problems. A lot of people would be able to clear their cache if they would stop being so invested in their who they stand for, their fandoms. And not their fandoms, but who they're part of the fandoms. Maybe you need to take a break, and I'm not calling no names because I don't want none of the tribes coming for me. But maybe you need to take a break from asking where Waldo is, wink wink, or from wondering who's zooming whom, or from wondering, well, are the girls fighting this week in the rap world, or whatever it might be. But you want to make sure that you start clearing that cache so that the more important things that you must get done, like paying attention and getting your work done, like being there and present for your family, your relatives, and your friends, like being able to have enough bandwidth. Yeah, that's the word I want. Enough bandwidth to stay present in a conversation without zoning out on them. Those are the things that you want to do. So Look at the quality of the stuff that you're holding in your mind and in your space. Do you really need to know all the names of that group? You can look it up. Do you need to know everything that everybody did every day? You can look that up. All right. So, like I said, I want to just give you this really quickly so that you can be mindful of the fact that there is a time when you can have your mental capacity inflated for the wrong reasons, and it causes your thoughts to struggle. So redeem your time. Get your thoughts in order. Clean out your mental cache and do the things that you know you're supposed to do so that you can have a clear, crisp mind. So guess what? Yeah, I want you to go and watch this next divine. Wow, okay. Well, we'll go with that. This next divinely inspired brilliant quest video. All right. Don't forget to check the description. If you want to book a one-on-one with me, you'll find the link there. You'll also find, if you want to support this channel, which we would be grateful that you did, you can find many different ways to support us. And I am going to see you sooner than later. This is Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest. Bye.